Give me a mechanic with buck teeth.
Violated Fort Sill hunting regulations.
Okay.
No
way they're better than Starfield.
Bro, I do a relatively decent Heath Ledger. And like, so I wanted to do the Heath Ledger joke.
You do it?
I like the idea of stakes.
I'm confused by this game.
Weed whacker, I barely know her. Wait a minute.
We did that on purpose. I think that's what we said we were going to do, right?
Yeah. We're just moving right along.
7 p.m.
time here.
Right on schedule.
Right on schedule, baby.
Our snafu this morning.
Yeah. Oh my God. We had the worst morning. We initially,
And it was all my fault.
Yeah. So we had the day planned out. We were going to go get just a ripper workout straight out of the gate, come back, make breakfast tacos, and then get set for the episode. We get to the gym.
This guy over here forgot his wallet.
Oh, no. Didn't have his wallet, so I couldn't get him into the off-post gym that I go to.
Because we had employee of the year.
Yeah, I know. Who's just like vehemently like, sorry, can't do it.
I had a picture of my ID too. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, not sufficient. So we had to come back here. I didn't get my key from my wife who stayed at the gym. So we had to go back to the other gym, get the key, come back here. We ended up going to the on-base gym here, which is fine. But it killed about, let's say, an hour and a half.
And it killed the breakfast tacos.
And it killed breakfast. We ended up having to do like hodgepodge kind of lunch.
R.I.P.
So yeah. Our schedule did get kind of eaten up, but I'd say we recovered pretty nicely.
7 o'clock. That's okay.
7 o'clock. We made our 7 o'clock deadline.
That's too early for me. I wish I could sleep in, man. I've been doing this so long. Like, Can you sleep in now? Are you physically capable?
Oh yeah.
I mean, bro, I can't.
Dude. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, easy. That's the easiest thing I'll do all day.
It's weird. I want to sleep in. I'll be exhausted. I'll be laying there in bed, and then my eyes will pop open. I'm like, no. And I look at my watch. It's like 6:05. No.
I have the opposite problem, man. I have the revenge bedtime problem where I can't go to sleep.
What time do you go to sleep to wake up at 6?
It really depends. So last night I streamed, so I was in bed probably 10:30, 11 maybe ish. Okay. And my body's like, you're waking up at 6. And I woke, and it's weird. I'll be like, I'm not awake. I'll lie to myself. I'll keep my eyes closed. I'm like, I'm not awake. And then like the parts of me that are touching the bed, like my hip, my shoulder will start to ache. Like, you need to get out of bed or else you're going to be stiff all day. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to get up.
No, my parts are all like, stay completely still. Don't get up.
That's the only thing about me still youthful is I could sleep till noon every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
I wish, bro. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I could go to bed at 9 p.m. and sleep probably till noon.
I don't know what it is, man, but it's revenge bedtime, right? Like, I spend my whole day at work, come home, do the kids thing, spend time with the wife, which isn't work necessarily, but there is that desire to have me time, right?
It's time, yes, bro.
And it immediately is like, well, I should probably spend 4 hours falling down the TikTok well,
Bro, my wife has to pull me out. She'll see me. Two things that my wife will pull me out of. Like, I'll be scrolling TikTok, and she's like, you haven't moved in an hour. Stop it. Yeah. And the other one is I'll be sitting there completely still, phone in my pocket, and my eyes are darting around, and she's like, your characters are arguing with each other.
Boy,
yes, I'm thinking of content.
You probably both have a lot of voices in your head at this point, right?
It's a thing of like, if I get an idea, because sometimes I've had to start kind of outlining a little bit of what I'm going to do as far as content is concerned. Like, I have kind of a list of things like, good idea, good idea, good idea. All right, good idea, A, B, C. Good idea, 2, A, B, C, right? You kind of outline them as you go, fill them out as you get ready to shoot them. But sometimes you just get that one idea that comes over you in a moment, and you're like, I'll be right back.
I have to make this right now.
You go. Do you have a space in your home?
I do. Yep, my game room. That's what I got.
You can shut yourself in your oasis.
I lock the door.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I like do not disturb. Filming in progress.
Deadbolt.
Yes, straight up. And it helps because you do enter into that space of like, okay, we're in the zone now.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, okay? Since you have the same kind of characters inside your brain that I have, right? Do you every once in a while have a punchline hit you? And that's your catalyst, right?
Yes.
This punchline is so good, and then you get there and you're in the room and you're sitting there by yourself staring at your phone about to start, and you're like, okay, how do I excuse me,
How do I build to that?
Yes, how do I get to this punchline? Yeah.
I have an endpoint, but how do I get to the
Yeah,
endpoint?
like you're like, I know what I want to say, but how do I make this entire like show around this punchline that I'm trying to get to?
Yeah, and you literally pull out your phone and you're like, weed whacker, I barely know her. Wait a minute, that doesn't work at all. You know,
Oh man.
it's a weird thing of like, you have a comedy sketch a day that you're kind of on the hook for.
Yep.
It's easy in the sense that you're the writer, producer, director, and the actor, right? Like you're the whole staff, and you just kind of it's like it either happens or doesn't by your hand. But that's also kind of the bad thing is like you pull out your camera sometimes, or you think a joke's gonna work, and then you record it, you watch it back, and you're like,
How many are on the cutting room floor?
What's that?
Like, how many videos are on the cutting room floor? Like, do you film them and you're like, no?
It really
or
depends.
Do they all go
so
out?
like I obviously teach, and teaching takes up all of my time, right? When I'm not teaching, the drafts will stack up, and I will like, all right, I'm gonna drop this on this day, this on this day, this on this day, and then sometimes something will happen in the news, and I'm like, oh, I can make a great joke about that. So then it's like put in front of it. During those times, I can have like 3 or 4 of them on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Right now, because. Sorry, I'm not trying to burp on
No,
your podcast.
dude, we
did it all the first
The beer on the
episode.
podcast is always a burp producer.
But now that I'm like on platform and I'm actually teaching, it's like scraping the bottom of the barrel like 3 times in the past 2 weeks because it's been just balls to the wall at work. I've driven home, parked in my driveway, connected to the Wi-Fi, hit upload. As soon as it uploads, my wife's like standing at the door. I'm like, bye, honey.
Yeah.
And I just go right back to
Gotta
work.
go.
Yeah.
It's give and take. Like there's times where you're popping. You got idea. They're coming. You know, you can kind of build off. Like both of our content streams have kind of like storylines that are they're fun. But sometimes, if you've painted yourself into a corner or you've resolved something to the point where it's like, I don't know where to go next. Like you literally are kind of starting over. But
so do you have like a system? Like he has like a list of ideas. Do you know what you're doing?
So
5 videos from now?
I have notes, and if a joke comes to me, but it's not good enough that I need to make it right then and there, I'll be like, that will be a catalyst joke. And the way I look at it with my content is I know that I'll lose like 60% of my viewership if I don't have a joke in the first 5 seconds.
Okay.
So that is my boom. That is my initial joke, and those are the small jokes. Because everyone, since they've watched my content, they like the big punchline at the end.
Sure, yeah.
So the big punchline at the
money
end
shot.
is the purpose of that video, and that first 5 seconds, I have notes. Let me see. Hold on.
So you break it down like by duration of the video. Like the first 5 seconds, I got all these
act
ideas.
1, Act 2, Act 3.
Yeah, pretty much. So I have. I need to look into Jake Bro. I don't know who that is. He's apparently a nuke guy. I need to look into the Perlin project. Jumpstart buff engines with explosives. I'm gonna figure out a way to use that joke.
Do you ever come back to these and you're like, what the fuck was I talking about?
Yeah, Arsenal ship. I gotta look into that one a little bit more.
The fuck is Arsenal shit?
And somebody wants Mr. Herbert is the M2. I do a relatively decent Mr. Herbert, from Family Guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, nice. Oh, you get your fat ass over here, Chris.
Gus, that's a pretty good whistle there.
I like it.
Good old Billy T. Friendly.
Yes,
out
yes,
there.
sir. A fellow whistler.
Is that what Billy T. turns into when he retires?
That's actually kind of how I got to that character. Was I could do the Herbert, and I was like, man, that's easy to do. I'll just bring it down an octave.
I was saying it's not too much whistle. It's just a little bit of
enough.
whistle. Yeah.
It's good. I love, honestly, out of all your characters, CW5 Billy T. Friendly is my favorite.
He's one of my
He's the
favorite.
one I think I easily like do just kind of like colloquially. Like I'll be out hanging out and have to part ways with someone, and they'll be like, "All right, man, see ya." I'm like, "All right, see you later," and they're like, "Ah."
Do you ever have a character in your brain that you haven't had a reason to use yet?
I feel like it's kind of getting gummed up with the characters that people want to see now. I think all the ones that I have observed and wanted to put out there, I've done. Like I like doing the chaplain just because chaplains are all kind of
Your chaplain is spot on. My chaplain that I did for the Air Force, everyone's like, "Why does it sound like One Punch Dad's chaplain?" Because you nailed it. I can't perfection, man.
No, hey man, there's more than one type of chaplain out there. But like like the sergeant major, the colonel, like I didn't want to overload it, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but
You're kind of at the mercy of demand at this point, right?
it is.
Like
It
you know
is
what you
kind
need
of
to
like,
do.
and some of the things people ask for, like they're like, like give me a mechanic with buck teeth. I'm like, I don't. What?
There's always weird ones. Like, and since I've like segued into air power, which is ironic considering my job is to shoot it down.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
who better?
Yeah, I guess so. But since I've segued into it, I realized that the world of air fanboys that are out there,
Oh, yeah.
they all have their one aircraft that they love.
They simp.
And and they're all just like, I didn't even know an F-111 Aardvark existed until like 2 months ago. But it's a crazy ass looking aircraft. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna
Now
find a
we
reason.
know.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna keep digging in. They're like, oh, have you heard of this aircraft and this aircraft? They just keep throwing them at me. And I'm like, guys, I can't do that many voices.
Yeah. You do get inundated. Like I do tell people who ask me about making content, like, hey, what can I do? Like, I want to, I want to make stuff like you or whatever. They'll tell you what they want in the comments. Is kind of the baseline truth. They'll tell you like whether it's a storyline thing or a new character that they want. Like I will say, a lot of the characters and a lot of the storylines. I don't know if this is true for you, but like that, some of that did come from there's some genuinely good ideas in the comments.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some legitimately bad ideas in the comments too. Some people give me, they're like, hey, you should do a storyline like this. I'm like, you should do that.
You can take that on.
Go nuts, man.
There's your
I'm
first.
not okay with that one.
Yeah, go crazy.
And there's some that I just can't fall into. Like I do it. I'm not going to do it here, but I do a relatively decent Heath Ledger, and like
Do it here.
I wanted to do the Heath Ledger joke.
You
Do
have
it
to
here,
do it now,
bro.
dude.
You have to. You
What?
can't-
You can't just throw that out there and be
not-
like, I'm not gonna do it.
I just, God, I don't
Right.
even know if I'm in the right headspace for it.
Take a vote if he should do it.
Jesus, I got
Yeah, vote.
Moment of silence here.
Let me see if I can try.
Come
and
on,
get my
Heath.
headspace. You're killing me.
I'm
Small.
a seance right now.
We won't look at you.
Oh, we're
All
trying
right.
to get.
What's going on?
God, now I'm so on the spot, bro. I would feel much better with a plane or a country over top of my face.
No. Peek behind the curtain, baby.
Yeah, no, it's over. Let me see if I can get this. Hold on.
No pressure
I know it's
at
so
all.
hard to do this in front of people.
Yeah.
I keep on want to say, do you see these scars? But that's not where it starts. That's not where it starts. I got to get like you guys are now seeing inside my brain. Someone's going to have to pause this for 10 minutes and edit this out. That's God.
Oh no, this is all going in.
Oh my God.
Did we clap?
Nope.
Jesus.
Damn it.
Here, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Sound sync.
Those
There we
weren't
go.
synced.
Oh, there we go.
That was a power
Yeah,
clap,
that
dude.
was intense, man.
God.
I knocked the camera
Yeah,
over with that
noise
one.
ordinance, dude. Okay.
I don't know who to use him for. And like I've thought about throwing around different things.
Yeah.
But I don't want to throw that around willy-nilly. And I know as I do these characters, you get better at them.
You do.
You do.
Yeah.
And so like right now I could probably do oh God, now you guys are going to I'm totally on the spot here. I just feel
We can't
But
go
they-
any further until we get some Heath
right?
Ledger.
We will.
Do you see these scars? You want to know how I got
I can't even keep a straight face.
my mom? She loved my dad, but he was a drinker. And so one day, he came home.
I'm sorry. That's
It was great.
Okay.
You were
that's-
going. That's why I didn't laugh because I laughed because it was really good.
You're like, holy
It caught
shit,
me
I'm
off
sitting
guard.
next to the Joker right now.
Okay, yeah,
It was good, buddy.
You're listening to The Hardpoint with Onexpunchxdad and Code Roams.
Hey, welcome to the Hardpoint. My name's Josh. I go by Onexpunchxdad online.
My name's Cody. I go by Code Roams.
And my name is Ethan. I go by HLC. Habitual
Yeah,
Linecrosser.
you do.
I
That was
do.
quite the intro. That was I can't see that far.
About 15 minutes. That's all right.
Intro.
So anyways, getting back to that one hair that we all have that grows right out our pee hole.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I just yank it.
Yeah,
Give it a
it
good
brings
tug.
you to your knees every
Ooh.
single time. Yeah.
That's I never feel more alive.
So I do want to talk about something that's really bothered me.
Air it out.
It's there's news. There's always news out there. You watch the news?
I
Have you I don't know if you've seen this story. So there's a famous TikToker who has a series, a cast
Sure.
of characters, and his sergeant major was relieved.
Oh, this is
I
big news.
did hear
and
about
I
it.
We're
wanted-
getting into allegations
I mean,
territory.
the PNN is talking. I heard that he violated Fort Sill hunting regulations.
Okay.
I heard that it was a discipline issue. He had multiple
Okay,
bears.
heard that. heard womanizing.
Oh, womanizing.
I heard that.
Oh man.
I heard he's a giant piece of shit.
That's some of the most disappointing
Honestly,
news.
what it is, the woke left has struck yet again.
This is cancel culture.
Yes, this is cancel culture incarnate. Yeah, man, that's a crazy thing. Honestly, that is. You want to talk about the top 10 things that I thought would never happen on TikTok is them removing that very specific filter that has been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, why?
That was
Why?
an old one.
I have
For
no
what
idea.
reason?
I
They
couldn't
needed to
even,
free
like,
up some
I searched
space.
it. I scoured the internet. Like, did some kind of license expire, or did the guy that created it die and they couldn't?
Right.
Like, there's nothing.
It's like it never existed.
It's like it is wiped from the face of the internet.
And that, did you say you kind of picked another filter for the next? It's going to be tough to match because that
Working
face
on
and
an
that
alternate
voice-
storyline.
Oh man.
I don't know what's gonna happen. So I did a fourth wall break where it's like the writer's room.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
It was good.
yeah. So you were just rolling with it. I think King Picks Media, who's another great kind of premium content
good dude.
creator, makes good content. He made a comment that I actually really liked. He talked about life giving you lemons. So that's the lemon.
That's a big lemon.
Do you? That does raise a good question because there is this sense with like the TikTok filters, like we use those for our content.
Absolutely.
It's a huge piece of it. It was harrowing. I'm not gonna lie. Like I roll with the punches. Like there's still filters I can use. Like I'll bounce around with it, whatever. Like, do you feel like it's precarious? Like one day, like
Absolutely.
if they pulled out the rug from underneath your feet.
Since day one, I was like, I need to figure out how to do this on my own.
Yeah.
And the video
Not
editing
rely
program.
on-
Shout out to Eli Double Tap. But the
heck
video
yeah.
editing program he showed me, I can do the green screen videos on my own.
That's good.
So I am good to go.
I think as you know, and this is something that I think anyone who's making, whether you're making funny content or whether you're making educational content, I think it's in your best interest to reduce the amount of places wherein you have pitched a tent in someone else's backyard.
Yeah.
If you can, whether you are doing any kind of VFX or green screen effect, you really need to be careful about how much you rely on that app, that Playgrounds equipment.
Because you make all that
Absolutely.
inside the TikTok app.
I do. I
And at one
start
point,
from TikTok, probably as you do. I
Yeah.
start from TikTok, and from
Okay.
there it goes other places.
because at one point they were talking about it being banned or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So if everything you need to make those videos is within that app, and then one day that app does not exist,
100%.
like
For me,
Starting from
and
scratch
honestly,
almost.
it's a scary position to be in. Is
Yeah.
that you know, like that is your bread and butter, that is your niche, and reinventing yourself is almost impossible when it comes to social
Right.
media because you're always going to have that demographic that remembers you for that one thing,
Right.
right? The
you
internet
caught
never
lightning in a
forgets.
bottle trying to do it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
like for me, when I found something that worked, I was like, I need to figure out how to do this with nobody's help.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, and I don't think a lot of people think about the filters in this way, and I feel like it's honestly an underutilized medium to tell a story.
Yeah.
People don't really realize the approximation of using filters to create multiple characters and actual animation. It really is. Now, it's not the same. Obviously, like any animation studio, it's hundreds of people working insane hours to make 20 minutes of a Rick and Morty episode
yeah,
or whatever.
the toilet.
This is me with my phone for 2 minutes, right?
Right.
Yep.
But it is your voice or your voice doing other voices, other characters, and a different face. Like even if it's a face filter or your eyes and mouth, basically
Right.
either case, it is approximating that kind of animation effect where you do get to not only put on a costume, but you straight up don a new character.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, it's cool, but as I found out the other day, that can be ripped out from underneath you very quickly.
Well, it's also like you're trying to push the limits, right? Like, because when it comes to being a creator of any kind, you want to push and see what you can do next, right?
Yes,
like, and this goes out to anyone watching this or anyone listening. If you're a creator, never stop. Like,
Yes.
never stop trying to get better.
Stay in the race.
Absolutely. So, like, for me, it was how do I obviously, and I figured this out after a while. It's not so much the news. Like, don't get me wrong, people like getting the news from me
Right.
because I break it down in ways that are easy to digest. But they love my characters, and it's the same
Yeah.
thing with you. They love your characters.
Yeah. And two, like, I feel a tinge in my heart when I start to harp on the same thing too many times. Like, I don't want to tell the same joke over and over again.
Absolutely.
I don't want the same thing to keep happening in the videos. And I think sometimes that makes it painful, right? Sometimes it goes to a place of like, okay, I don't have anything new to do for this guy. So maybe I got to take a day off. That's been, honestly, if I, like, you can probably relate.
Absolutely.
The hardest thing to do, especially when you're hitting and you're coming off of one of those highs where it's like, banger joke, banger video, everyone's doing good, and then you kind of hit that slump. Maybe I just need to take a rest.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to like exercise. Like sometimes the best thing you can do is not.
You can overwork out,
Yes.
you know, and you're not getting the same
100%.
results. Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I watch my videos, but it's not for any kind of self-righteous, like narcissistic
No.
reason.
It's analysis.
Exactly. I want to know, like, I've had great jokes that had bad deliveries, and I've seen it in my analytics. I'm like, that was a great joke that I just delivered really terribly.
Right.
So I constantly study myself, and I learn to try and figure out, okay, I can hit that joke better. I can, I didn't convey this feeling, because obviously actors, any kind of actor, whether you're a social media actor, a real world actor, actor, anything, you're trying to convey a feeling and get people to follow that feeling. So if you're like, I didn't convey that in the way that I wanted, and you'll see it in the comment section, like, well, I didn't really understand this part. And it hurts when you see that, but you're like, because I want to deliver a great product for people who follow me.
Yes.
Do you read all the comments?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to. But, I tell you, and it's the weirdest thing, anyone who has a following and actually is trying to make something of themselves out there, they are very nice and polite to everybody around them. It's the user 223434467 kitty lick
The nobody.
Yeah, who just wants to say the worst, most like repugnant, terrible things you've ever heard.
And it's a weird dichotomy, right? Because, like you said, it's normally no PFP. The username has not even been set. That person is likely only on the app to
troll,
to speak the horrible shit that's on their brain that they can't say colloquially, that they would never say colloquially.
Yeah.
It will stick in your fucking craw.
Right.
You could get 1,000
good ones,
and that one that's just like, do better or cringe.
Right.
And you're like, I'd fight you right now. I would.
You know what I started doing, right? So the reason I started social media is kind of a little bit of a dark story, right? I was in a bad position, bad situation, and I wanted to make people happy. And originally I started making social media because I wanted people to like say that I was amazing and funny and stuff like that, right? And it was very selfish and it was stupid. Eventually what I figured out is like for those like 2-3 minutes, whatever, that I make that silly video, I'm giving them a break from whatever's going on in their life. Like I just had a guy reach out to me and he said that he found my videos when his wife had passed away from cancer. And like that straight humbled me. That is the most amazing feeling in the world. And he was a great guy. And but with that, I just started like, if they have something negative to say, I just block. I don't even interact with them because if I interact with them, I give them that.
Right. That's what they're looking for, right? They're looking for a negative reaction. So when I block them, I hope that something in their life goes wrong. And their friend goes, hey, man, watch this video to cheer up. And they click
can't see it.
And they can't see it because it's mine. That is the best full circle fuck you that I could possibly give to someone.
And it's one of those things where it feels like the chump move, like, but it's not, right? It's you want to stand your ground and defend your honor and all that stuff. You want to, and there is a few times, like, if I've got a quip and someone leaves a smart-ass comment, and I've got a zinger to leave them back, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be ratio city. Like straight up, like they're going to be like, you suck. And I'm going to be like, that's not what your mom said. And then, 1,000 people come and validate that, like, yeah, you shouldn't just come to this dude's video. Like, we got his back. Like your fans will. Will protect you.
They are brutal.
They will defend you.
Oh yeah.
Come in swarms.
Yeah. It's like, it does get to the point where you have to be careful. Because I have had a few times back when I would clap back, like TikTok introduced the clap back via video. There was a point where I kind of started to get a following, and someone would be like, "You suck," and I would do a video response and be like, "Oh yeah, nuh-uh, you suck," and then my followers would be like, "Get him."
Do you want us to kill him?
Like, literally, like people deleting their accounts, like like running from the internet, and it's like that. It felt good in the moment, but also that shouldn't be the goal.
Yeah.
Right.
And Yeah.
I also realize, like, and he's absolutely right, though. It festers on you.
Yeah.
Even when this hardpoint stuff comes out, I mean, I'm telling you, it's gonna you're gonna find negativity. It's gonna
Bring it on.
Right?
We're fucking ready.
But the thing that pulls me out of it, like, now I try and dismiss it because it's not even worth my time. You know, it's not even worth it. But the things that'll pull you out is the people that are like, hey, man, this really helped me. And, like, that is the most rewarding thing in the world.
Absolutely.
If you're going to post a bad comment, just don't.
Just don't.
It's not going to work.
Consider
but
not.
Throw it out there anyway.
But yeah. For every like, hey, this is cringe comment, like the ones, you know, you helped me through a hard time. You know, the one, you know, we make military content, so people tell me like, hey, I joined because of you.
Oh yeah, that's
or I chose ADA because of you. Like those are huge, man. Like it's at a certain like that can be a whole thing too, because then you start to get this anxiety of like, okay, now I'm here to make jokes, and suddenly I'm representing this much bigger, more serious thing.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about being the face of.
I don't know. You know, it's weird. I feel like the powers that be know we exist, but they're just kind of like, let's see what they
Shaky
do.
alliance.
Yeah, they're just like, let's see how they do. You know, we're just gonna let this play out because we're not hurting recruiting by any means.
No,
right?
no.
So,
and I think between what you and I make, it's we never punch down, right? We're not here to make fun of people who can't defend themselves.
Absolutely.
And we're not here to say, hey, the Army's not a good experience. Don't join the Army. It's just bad. I mean, if it weren't for some of the kooky things that happen in the Army, I would have no jokes. The Army is a daily buffet of wild,
it's
bonkers things happening, and people being like, all right, and accepting it.
You're just like jaded to all the crazy
so
shit that happens.
It's every day is just the most bonkers like thing that you have to adjust fire to, and you just roll with it. And that's kind of those.
It's
for
just
me,
a Tuesday.
Are the,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Those are the things that I kind of like. Okay, what are the things that like? Actually, this is not normal at all.
Yeah.
We should talk about
like,
it.
for example, like broadening and generating assignments, right? So I made a joke about this because, like, anywhere else in the world, so in the Army, right, they'll send you, like, I'm in a broadening assignment right now where I'm an instructor, right? So they'll send you to be an instructor, a drill sergeant, they'll send you to be a recruiter. Like, they got all these different assignments.
It's like your job, but not your job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's weird, like, that happens in the Army, and they're like, well, it's to make you a well-rounded soldier.
Yeah.
But, if, like, think about that in any other job. Like, let's say you busted tires and they were like, we're going to send you to Bolivia to go harvest rubber trees to figure out where they come from. You're like, what? Or like, you're a fry cook at McDonald's. They're like, we're sending you to Idaho. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly.
What? But like in the Army, it's just normal.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You're gonna go harvest peanuts and squeeze them for oil.
What is going on?
Yeah, there's this weird sense of like, I don't know, like it is never. We've both been in the Army for about 15 years.
Yep.
Like long enough to know better, but it is this always looming sense of we know it's better for you.
Yeah.
We know where you belong. And I'm not saying like I don't have an aversion to mentorship.
No.
It's not what it is. And I actively am always seeking a mentor. And receiving it from the people that have identified as mentors.
Yep.
But I think there's also this sense of nobody trusts anyone who they outrank or outage even to make a sound decision, and it can be frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's a thing of it trickles through every aspect of our daily life, from command to just.
Well, it's also the Army's really bad at the telephone game. Like,
Yeah.
terribly bad.
Oh,
which is why I'm telling you right now, I'm so glad that the Sergeant Major of the Army has a Twitter. I'm so glad. Because you can get it right from the horse's mouth. Because it's like the way
Ethan, I think you mean he has an X.
you know, okay, he has an X. Sorry, he has an X, my bad. I don't have, well, I do have one, but I only follow politicians just because I want to see the dumb things that they say.
I've got a few X's, but we don't talk anymore.
But like, it's so weird, man. The telephone game in the Army is terrible.
Yeah.
So let's say Sergeant Major comes down and says, hey, First Sergeant, I'm going to be in your AO on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Simple, just, I'm going to be in your AO.
Right.
First Sergeant comes down and he's like, hey, Platoon Sergeant Major says he's coming to inspect the barracks and our AO. You better have it clean.
Yep.
Platoon Sergeant's yelling at the squad leader saying, hey, you need to go outside and clean up around the barracks and police call all this. And then Joe's out there police calling a smoke pit. He's not a smoker and he's being yelled at because it's dirty because Sergeant Major saw it. And he's like, what?
Exactly.
Like,
another prime example is the we'll call it the brigade and above run.
Oh my god!
So the brigade will push down. Hey, at 6 o'clock in the morning, 0600, we're gonna have a brigade run. A lot of people running in a big rectangle.
Okay.
It's as terrible as it sounds.
It's awful.
Sounds not fun at all.
If there's a 06 step off time, what time are we showing up? Ethan?
I'm usually there with my platoon at 04.
04.
Yeah,
Easy.
that's an easy. 04.
And the higher it goes up, so now it's a division run, probably 0330.
Yep,
right?
0330.
Yeah.
Talking about
add
2 hour prior?
Add 30 minutes each echelon, pretty much.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
What are you doing for those 2 hours?
Standing there and listening to Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
It's always
Yes,
Thunderstruck.
or Welcome to the Jungle.
It's always
or some of that. So
Oh my God,
Like
bro.
there's like 8 dad rock songs that are always being played on loudspeakers on a fucking loop.
For 2 hours.
Yes, for 2 fucking hours. Yes.
Oh my god!
And you're freezing your tits off.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible experience.
but this is the
and then
thing.
you run for 45 minutes.
It doesn't matter what time of year it is, you will always be out there in summer PTs because some unit is going to show up in summer PTs.
Yeah.
We had
And
3.
you gotta all look alike.
We had 3 people at Fort Carson. It was 29 below zero, and they had us in summer PTs.
Yeah.
Because one unit showed up in summer PTs, we had 3 cold weather casualties.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's the wildest thing, man.
We failed. We're 0 for 2.
Hang on, let me see if I can get this one.
We got a late clap.
We're gonna do it on 3. 1, 2, 3.
There we go. All right,
That was definitely not on time.
I was early. I was early. Okay. I got.
Story of my life.
We got anything? I was gonna say I got something.
Yeah,
Okay,
send
we
it.
got.
Okay. So one of your videos really stood out to me.
All right.
We established on the first episode on the civvy of the show,
Yes.
and so if you had to guess, if there's one video that like really stood out to a civvy, do you have any idea what that would be?
For my videos.
I'm interested to hear this. I'd actually be interested to know that for my
It
content.
really stood out. You got all funny shit, but one I was like, whoa.
Is that the one where I was talking about how Patriot targets the cockpit?
I don't think so.
Okay. And I'm not saying that. No one come after me. Lieutenant Commander Candeloro was quoted saying that in 2003.
That's very interesting. Do you have like 10 minutes? I can tell you about that.
Not offensive, like frightening.
That's pretty frightening. Let me see.
Throw him a bone.
Yeah. Give me a clue.
A sort of briefing.
Oh, the threat brief. The threat brief stuck out to you.
I haven't seen that one.
So I made
Give me something.
Okay,
What?
so I made it the joke like somebody coming in just looking dumbfounded, like terrified, and it's like, oh, he got the threat brief, and it's like, oh yeah, and he's like, I gotta call my parents and tell them to buy a bunker, and he's like, oh, you gave them the light one, like, 'cause-
Like you have a chance to survive or anything.
It's always the worst possible thing you've ever heard in your entire life.
So
Like,
there's
it's-
not really shit like that. That was a joke, or is there really shit like that?
No, the world's a scary place. But like the purpose of a threat brief is to scare you shitless. Like
Okay.
that's the purpose of it. Is like this is what's going on in the world that no one else knows about.
It's reality. There's no overblown like. What I will say about this, without going to an OPSEC place, I guess, you get a sense of what is, and that's kind of why, like, as someone who has been doing this for a while, when people throw out these outlandish, like, like the military's putting microchips in my Cheerios, like, that's when you're like, all right, well, that's not.
You're not that important. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you.
Your Cheerios are fine.
Yeah.
But it's reality, right? Like
Sure.
you hear the first time it is harrowing. Absolutely, it's a thing of where you realize that you grew up in a country that believes itself to be the safest place in the world,
Yeah.
and we're very blessed to live here. I do believe that.
I'm on the verge of a sneeze. Sorry.
Let it rip, brother.
When I turn away, it disappears, and I
Sneeze into the microphone. Let's see.
Yeah, give us
see
a
the
good
sound level.
Yeah, let's see what this compressor can take.
okay, I'm good.
But no, you get a sense of where you're at in the world. Like
Yeah.
it literally is. It's like realizing how vast the universe is.
Sure.
Honestly, it's
Scary, but
yeah,
maybe.
and realizing like Chinese kids and Russian kids and Iranian kids and North Korean kids grow up hearing things about other governments and their own governments and believing
Sure.
the exact same things,
Yeah.
the same but flip flop to
Yeah.
be true. It's
Yeah.
really
It's mainly just a giant reality check.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when someone's like, "Oh, you're back-to-back World War champions. We're undefeated. We gonna win the next one." Just like
there's a statute of limitations on
Yeah,
it. They're
it's,
like
it's not going to be as easy as you think. Like, don't get me wrong, we're better prepared than pretty much everybody I know of.
But Babe Ruth, not a contender in a current home run race. Like, I love him, but
no, man, you look back to the 1930s. He's the greatest player who's ever lived, and the guy's like a chain smoker.
Yeah, lived off nachos, like
5'4", 145, tiny little guy.
All right, buddy. Like, we've come a long way.
That being said, why don't we let professional athletes take steroids? Like, I mean, I just want to see
I thought you were
all
going to say, why don't we let him eat nachos? It's like, let him have a hot dog, man.
Oh, man.
I can't imagine, like, all I've had is chicken and rice. This dude's up here selling conies, man. I just want a chili dog.
Oh, hard pass.
I saw something about somebody proposed a league where steroids were allowed, where it's like, just see how far you can push your body. Like, it's a part of it.
Yeah.
And just see how far you can push your body. I mean, there's stuff like, I don't watch it, but like NASCAR, you can push a machine to see how far it can go.
That's true.
Why not be able to push your body to see how far it can go?
Like, is the gasoline a performance-enhancing drug at that point? Like,
That's fair.
I think, yeah, technically.
The internet is always undefeated. I love the internet, right? Like, no matter what goes on in this world, the internet stays undefeated. And like, we're both burping now. And
all three of us.
the beer burpees.
and so, like, somebody on the internet was saying that we've never seen a gorilla in peak physical form because they don't know how to lift weights. And I was like, man, that's...
Fuck.
Yeah, we've never...
A gorilla just thrown up.
We don't know how much they can do. Like, we don't know. And I'm like, wow, that kind of screwed my mentality up there, man.
Zero.
Have you seen...
muscle
Okay, so I
training.
grew up thinking kangaroos were like kangaroos.
Like nice.
Close your eyes and picture a kangaroo. That's how I picture kangaroos.
Yeah. Like
punching you?
Kangaroos are yacked.
They're violent.
They are violent, and they have, like, the deltoids of a bodybuilder.
But, like, what do you expect? It's Australia. I love Australians. I love them. Like, every time I've worked with them, I love Australians. But, man, like, everything there... You ever seen, like, what was it? Like, National Geographic, where a gazelle has to learn to run in, like, the first 30 seconds or it's going to get eaten? That's how Australian kids are born, right? Like, they just kind of, like, they're the pinnacle of existence.
Yeah.
Or else they're not going to make
Survive.
it.
Do you
or
think
don't.
leopards and cheetahs look at, like, our, like, Olympic track runners, and they have the Omni-Man moment, like, look what they have to do to achieve a fraction of our power.
Sure. They're just born that way.
Dude, yeah, dude.
Born that way.
Wow. Did you see there was recently? It was a it was a qualifier for the Olympics, and some guy in a country in Africa put his cousin who never ran in a qualifier, and like everybody in the world was like, I'd always like to see an average person run against these professional athletes.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that video exists, and if you've seen it, you're just like, oh my God, they really are that fast. Because this poor woman is giving it everything she's got. She's giving it the beans, and they're just like, she's not even moving.
Wow. She's giving it the beans.
I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket. Use that for later.
Yeah, Tuesday in a meeting, I'm gonna be like, well, we really gave it the beans. No, I can't imagine like an Olympic sport to me. Because we all of us go to the gym.
Yeah.
You go to the gym, you try to get like a well-rounded, like, hey, I want to, good upper deck, have strong legs, strong arms,
trunks.
right? I can't imagine being like, I'm going to do a sport where I only need these 5 muscles or these 20 muscles, whatever, to be really, really strong.
Yeah.
And I need to get those muscles better than everybody else in the world.
So I'm going to sprint for 8 years.
Is cycling a good example of that? Like just
Cyclers are
that
just,
motion.
I feel like you have to have an anus of steel to be a proper
Bro,
cycler.
the seat's that wide.
Bro, my brother, he does that stuff. So he bought like a really nice bike.
Yeah.
It's like a $3,000 bicycle.
Yeah.
Bicycle, right? Like, no, thank you. I ride a motorcycle. I'm much different than that. But he on vacation. So he just retired from the Navy. He's living in Japan. Love you, bro. I'm so proud of you, man, for retiring. But like he retired, and before he retired, he's like, I took a week of leave, and I want to go ride 1,000 miles on a bicycle in a week. Dude. And he was like, bro, I hit that 1,000 miles. I'm like, no.
And now you can't walk.
It's to me the cyclist thing, like, and I don't know, it's because like I never went to a shop and said make a bike for my body, but
For my wide ass.
like please,
I need that seat.
yeah, please measure the width of my anus and give me the right. Like I have a buddy who's a big cyclist, and he was like, hey, come ride trails out here with me, and we went out to the bluffs and we did a little riding. The hardest part, it wasn't the pedaling. It wasn't the cardiovascular aspect. It was that bicycle seat trying to climb up my back door. Straight up. I was violated by that bicycle. And it was like, dude, I can do all of this, but The seat is killing me.
I'm being credit carded.
Yeah, straight up. Like it was like sitting on a cone.
Those seats are made by MEPS doctors.
They must be. Yeah. It did everything short of telling me to turn my head and cough. I don't know.
Man.
If you give me that plus like a nice cushy seat, we might be talking. But
I've never been like, I'm not a real outdoorsy person with the exception of like, I like hunting and fishing. Like that's the only reason. And I've never like, no hunters train. No one's like, I'm going to go hike 50 miles.
You can eat nachos and hunt.
Yeah, like no one
It's
gives
allowed.
a shit. Like you're just breathing heavy, chain smoking, leaning against a tree. You're like, I am not packing a deer out of here today. It's not happening. Like, but some of these people, like recently, it was this summer, right? So this summer we had a like crazy hot summer. It was really across the whole U.S. There was a father and son that passed away in Death Valley, right? God forbid, it's a terrible thing, but they passed away because they, quote, wanted to know what it felt like to go hiking in 120 degrees. And my brain immediately went, just enlist. Yeah. That's all you have
exactly.
to do. Like, that's it. But that's just, I think, was a natural selection that just took them at that point.
It's one of those things where, like, he's a motherfucker, man. Like,
yeah.
This is a public service announcement, heat category. It sneaks up on you, man.
It does.
It's one of those things like you can be out there standing, chilling. Like obviously, like if you got a rucksack, a bunch of gear, whatever, you're hiking, you got a bunch of stuff on, and it's hot. Like you probably ought to know you got to eat and hydrate beforehand. But like, there's been times where it's been so hot, specifically here, because it gets laser hot.
Oh god,
in Oklahoma, Dallas, this region of the country.
Well aware.
And you could be like, you golf. Like, have you been golfing and been like, I gotta get out of here, or I'm gonna die.
About 7 holes in, I'm like, this was the worst decision I've made
hard pass, man,
this year.
And that's a thing of like that.
It
just sucks.
I've lived here my whole life, and you don't get used to it.
Yeah,
you don't.
No,
there's nothing. Yeah, there's. I love how units are like, we're going to get acclimated to it. You don't.
No.
There's nothing you can do.
It's called suffering.
I feel like as much as I fucking hate the cold, I
just
love
hate
it. Cold.
I hate
love it,
the
love it,
wind.
love it.
Like top 3 most hated things.
But you can acclimate to the cold better than you can acclimate to heat.
To a point, yeah.
You can freeze to death, you can fry to death.
Yeah.
But I feel like
you can only get so naked, dude. You can throw more layers on, though. You know?
There's that, and then there's the aspect of, I think the Army, specifically for our job, has created enough like countermeasures for like within like cold weather gear to where you're gonna be okay.
Technology.
Yeah. It won't keep you comfortable, but it will keep you alive.
It will keep you alive. Yeah.
And that's, God, man.
I hate the heat.
How did we get on this topic of hydration?
Bro, to this day, and I don't want to speak poorly about any peoples in the world, right? But to this day, I have every time I'm sent to the Middle East, every country I've ever been to, I have no fucking clue who was cruising across the desert in their camel is like, this is nice.
Right here.
I like it. This
is it, boys.
Bro.
Park it.
I don't get it, man.
It's rough, man. It's one of those things like you get there and you're like, this is a different planet. It is a vastly different world.
And it's probably just relentless.
Well,
same heat at night.
So you were in Afghanistan.
I did Afghanistan.
Afghanistan's weird because they do really get, some regions get all 4 seasons.
Yeah, it's a weird experience. So like when I was in RC South in Kandahar, and that's like the desert, right? So during the daytime, 120 degrees, but at night it's like 70 or 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Which
if it was 120 in the day, 60 feels like 30.
You're freezing all night long, and then during
all
the winter,
snivel gear.
Yeah, during the wintertime, it would get down to like 30s and 20s. We even got snow once.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
And like
in the desert,
there's no atmosphere there, man. Like
man.
they just whatever it is. If it's sunny out, it's hot as hell. If it's not sunny, it's freezing. It's just
no middle ground.
There's nothing.
Iraq, where I was at, I was in USD South, which was kind of the most southern point, Basra, and then kind of north of that. But the southern quadrant, they have a monsoon season, and it's in their marshlands, which you think of Iraq, you're like, oh yeah, they have a marsh. They have they have areas that look like the Shire in Iraq, which is crazy.
Wow.
But they had at one point across the whole COP, which was tiny, it was like the size of a Walmart supercenter, was a foot of water.
Oh wow!
It rained, and then it just stayed there for weeks.
And
and I walked around in my
mosquitoes and shit.
My Mott 4 boots.
Your mop boots, man.
Yeah,
things
it
will
was
get you
that,
going.
some PT shorts, and a whatever tan T-shirt.
I remember in Afghanistan when the monsoon season hit, I was in Tower 1 in ACS 5, and the wind was coming from the south, and the rain was coming from the south, and I built, like, we had a belt, and we get bored and link way too much ammunition. So we had a 240 up there, and we had a belt that was like 10,000 rounds. One belt. Like, we just never have to reload. I'm never gonna, let's burn through every barrel we have up there.
Barrel melts by the time.
And then like halfway through was like armor piercing incendiary. Like, that's going to destroy the gun. That's whatever.
Just whatever was laying around.
Just whatever we had. But like, there's extra ammo boxes up there, and I built like an igloo out of ammo boxes trying to block the wind. And I'm like, yo, SOG, this is Tower 1. Can you bring me my poncho? And like, he ran up and just threw it at me and ran back inside. I was like, this sucks, man.
Cold is one thing, but windy cold is a whole different game.
You can't,
man.
like I don't smoke anymore, but back then I was like a freight train. You can't smoke in the wind.
No,
your fingers are just
your finger, and you're out there like there's only so like. You know, it's like my son, like if we're in a cold restaurant, he does the like pull the hands and arms in the shirt, and he's just like a turtle in his shell. Like, you can't do that while you're in a tower, man.
Oh man,
can't do that when smoking cigs either. You need you need the fingers.
Yeah, man, you gotta have some dexterity there.
I've tried punching the wind in the face, and I know I look stupid. I know I look ridiculous, right?
But if the wind was a person, I would knock his fucking teeth out.
Fucking strangle it.
We're fighting that guy tonight.
Top 3 most hated things in the world: spiders, Taliban, and wind. Not in any specific order, but like, bro,
someone somewhere is like, I have the perfect enemy for it.
Bro, I was
the windy Afghan spider.
I was going out of the van in UAE. I was walking out of the van. You know how those doors, they're solid metal. Like, there's no give
Big
to
old hunk of shit. Yep.
I turn the handle, I open the door, and as soon as you open the door, then your fingers can like be, grabbing the handle.
Right.
And I went to grab the handle, and the wind was actually coming from the opposite direction and slammed closed on my hand. I proceeded to kick the door open at that point and was outside literally swinging at the wind. I was trying to punch it. I was so mad.
Fuck this shit!
I was so mad, bro. Like, it's the worst experience,
dude.
Man.
It's really when you're out there, like, honestly, looking back, like I have a cubicle job. You teach.
Yeah.
There are times where I don't miss being out there in the fucking cold.
Oh no.
But there are times I do miss kind of the austere nature of like being online in those kind of jobs. Because when you're out there with buds or like your soldiers or whatever, you can have fun. Like you have memorable moments. Yeah. But man,
the downs or the lows are probably
the lows
very,
are low.
very
like
low.
like it all like a prime example, and you can relate. You've been shooting at a gun range before.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yes, I have.
It's a lot of fun. Like if I say, hey, we're going to take my personal weapons, we're going to go shoot.
Yep.
Just burn a few rounds.
Yeah.
Dial it in. Whatever.
Therapeutic.
Yeah, therapeutic. It's a little fun. It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Going to the range in the Army is like God.
It's the worst experience.
I would rather sweep for 10 hours.
Why?
Why?
Because it's outside?
No.
So it's a big muscle movement, right? So it's like everything's largely soldier run.
Sure.
So you have soldiers who have to go draw the ammo. Everyone's got to line up at this arms room and draw their weapon. You can't put a weapon you can't throw it in your car and drive to the range. So you all then have to ride in maybe a bus if your unit's got some money.
Military vehicle.
Probably a LMTV or an FMTV. The back of like an army truck, pretty much, or a Humvee.
And then when you get there, all weapons and everything have to be accounted for with personnel, right?
Yep.
It's not too bad.
Because God help you if you lose something. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. Then you have an RSO, range safety officer, who's signed for the range and is in charge of the range. So every time you show up, this RSO, this person who is somehow in charge, right? They're telling you, the latrines are over there. This is your firing point. You'll draw ammo over here.
Don't smoke here, smoke there.
Yeah, that simple briefing, right? But then that RSO has to get on the radio and talk to these people called range control who take their job way too seriously.
Oh, my God.
Employees of the month.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dude. They're doing... yeah.
Is it the girl at the YMCA?
It's the girl at the YMCA.
Oh, my God, bro. They're
doing the most for no reason.
Like, and they change things just to make themselves feel special. Like, it used to be, hey, range is hot, range is cold. Now it's wet
and dry.
Yeah,
why?
bro.
Ew, what?
Who needed that career bullet on their...
There's nothing that needed to change.
Oh, that's so stupid.
There's no reason for it.
Hey, the range is wet.
And then...
That doesn't make sense.
No, nobody wants to go to a wet range.
And then after you're done shooting, by the way, you got to have all your gear, helmet, body armor, which is, I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
right?
you're a little over encumbered, but that's not the worst part.
When you're done, you have to pick up all the ammo. Now, here's the thing. If you sign for 10,000 rounds, they know how much 10,000 rounds worth of brass weigh.
Okay.
And you had better bring them 10,000 rounds worth of brass because they'll weigh it when you turn it back in. And if it,
don't go over.
no, don't go under.
Under.
So if someone puts it in their pocket
like
or
you take-
loses it or
okay,
it
I
falls
see.
into the grass,
Yeah.
you have to go back out there, hands across America, and pick up every piece of brass you find just
I
to
think
get
you're
that
taking
weight.
And when we say hands across America, what you're imagining, where we are literally arm's length apart, walking very slowly, head
Right.
oriented down. Yes.
Yes, that is absolutely it.
Yes.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, you get to clean weapons.
Yep.
And I think cleaning your weapons is a great thing. I think any firearm owner will tell you, like, yes, I absolutely would love to clean my weapons with a show on the television or a radio. But you go in the dingy basement of whatever battery headquarters or company headquarters, and you have to just sit there and try to clean your weapons to the point of one singular person's subjective
Discretion.
approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then again, they don't have enough cleaning equipment. So they have like one cleaning kit for like 15 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So you're all trying to pass it around and
So it's not like Red Dead where you take a cloth and just kind of polish the outside and it looks good.
Yeah, no, just a 30-second hold X and you're done. Yeah, no.
It goes from dingy to shiny. I'm just kidding. I've cleaned a gun before. That was a joke.
God, if only though, man. This dude's thinking in the right direction. I think.
I'm telling you, man.
But yeah, going to the range. It's the way. And again, going back to the things that help me think of a funny situation to make a joke about is the way we take something that should be fun, right? Doing our base duty as a soldier, firing your weapon, and making it a fucking shit
nightmare.
show. A fucking nightmare.
But the reason we do that, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is that every single time something has gone wrong in the Army's 260-something year history, they put a new control in place. So now here we are 260-some years later, 50-some years later, and all those controls for the last 200 years are still in
there.
place.
Yeah.
So every time something went wrong, there's a new control in place, which is why when I came in 09, I could dispatch an Abrams main battle tank in like 30 seconds. You want the tank dispatched? It's dispatched.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Now,
rolling out the gate.
You're lucky if you can get that vehicle dispatched in a day.
And it doesn't need to be a whole tank.
Right.
It can be a Humvee, and
Yeah.
it's still a lot of rigmarole. It's still, and never mind that Humvee or tank, whatever, probably doesn't run great anyway because the last 8 guys who were charged with custody
Not a well-oiled machine.
Oh, no,
didn't take good care of it.
They kicked the tires and said it's good
Yes,
to go.
you got a leftover for sure.
Yeah.
It's
You have time? All right. It's fine.
You are an enjoyer of games.
I am.
You're an enjoyer of pop culture at large.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about gaming. I think you have a really unique appreciation of games, I should say. We did maybe a month or two ago. We both did our top 10 games of all time.
Yes.
And I really, really, really loved that you did not. You did like I did. You did not mirror the IGN of the world.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's Mario 3 and Ocarina of Time, right? Which we can probably both acknowledge are great games.
Yes.
But you had some sleeper hits on your list that I thought were really fun. One that I want to talk about that we've all three played is Titanfall 2, which is your favorite game of all time.
It is.
That's a good one. That is a sleeper.
I am a
That's great,
Titanfall
though.
junkie.
It is. It is. It's kind of risen back to prominence. I don't know. Are the servers still full? It's been a couple months now.
Yeah, the servers are still up and running, and we were hoping that October 27th, on the anniversary of
Titanfall 3 announcement.
we were hoping for an announcement. And like, this is the thing. I do want to manage expectations. I know that Apex has been crazy lucrative for Respawn.
It's a cash cow.
They've made so much money, but right
Oh,
now there's
I
a
get-
division in Respawn's following, right?
Right.
You have people who love Apex and people who love Titanfall.
Right.
If Respawn made a smart decision, they would find something to bring them together,
Merge them.
right?
So you just said that. Now, this isn't something I've had a lot of thoughts about, but it just dawned on me that Titanfall 2 came out in 2016.
It did.
And so a kid who was not alive when Titanfall 2 came out, but is an avid Apex player, may not have any context for the awesomeness of Titanfall. Like, that didn't dawn on me that game has overshadowed Titanfall to the point that a 7-year-old
they don't know. I'm telling you, and I tell everybody just play the game. Like that's all I want is like just try it. Everyone who's played both, like everyone I've ever talked to who's played both, will straight up tell you Titanfall's better. Like
I don't love Apex. I've played it.
Apex is great. It's a good game.
It doesn't
fun
suck.
To play.
It didn't stick with me.
I'll say this. This is more of a statement on behalf of Titanfall, really. You're a lot better at stepping out and trying like the non-Call of Duties of the world.
Absolutely.
You're a lot better at that than I am. I like the tightness of Call of Duty. I will say that Titanfall's probably the closest any game's ever come to matching the tightness of any shooter that I've ever played. I think just like from the athleticism that you feel as in a first-person
wall
shooter,
runs,
shooting like straight up the ADS, all that.
Snappy.
There, I have a very specific moment from Titanfall 1 actually, where it was where you do a team deathmatch and you had to get extra. Like if you lost the match, you got to get to the extract.
Oh, good old attrition, yeah.
And there was one match, and it's very weird that I remember this very specific thing, but we lost the match, and I was clear across the map. The dropship came, and I parkoured. I did not touch the surface of the map one time. I parkoured, did a grappling hook. I wall ran, I flipped, I ran, and I made it all the way to the dropship right in time. And I was like, that moment only exists in Titanfall.
Heart pounding, just like
it was a cinematic. Like I felt like Spider-Man, and I wasn't playing Spider-Man. It was one of those moments like this only can happen in this game.
Yeah. I love that about it. And plus, like, so they've created when they built the game and they built the story behind it. I have never fallen in love with an inanimate object. And BT is an inanimate object, and I love BT.
I feel you, bro. The campaign was actually really good.
It was so good. Yeah. So, like, when you start playing with these Titans, you feel that same affinity, even in multiplayer. Like, you still have that attachment to these Titans. So, like, when you are running towards the dropship, and you leave your Titan behind to get the dropship,
you've left a buddy behind.
Like, it feels
a companion,
right?
Yeah,
and there's nothing in the world that I haven't found anything that compares to that.
It is such a unique idea that. It's one of those things like you look at things in Western like IPs like military games or shows or whatever. Like it is one of those things that really just transcends all the cultures in a way that's not like, well, they're just trying to be like a Japanese robot game or they're not trying, they're trying to be an American gunslinger game. Like it is one of those things that perfectly encapsulates all of the cool things of all of the sci-fi and action genres that we love. And it's not really asking you to do much in terms of suspension of disbelief. It really is just like you're a guy who can leap around and wall run, and you have a giant robot.
But that was also like during the heyday of games. If you guys ever go back and watch like the opening cinematics of Titanfall, it was the first time, and Call of Duty did it too, where they had like actual like people, and it wasn't CGI. Like they did it in front of a green screen.
Like the mocap and all that.
They did it like an actual movie, and it was just so good, man. It was so well put together. But then like we just fell off and we lost our way as video games. But like I appreciate any company out there that pushes the envelope and does something different.
Right.
Which is why I appreciate games like Titanfall. I appreciate games like Star Citizen. I appreciate games like Empyrean Galactic Survival. I like survival games. That's kind of my affinity, right? Yeah. I can appreciate Minecraft. It's not my thing, not my bread and butter.
I see the appeal. Like my kids are Minecraft heads, and I have to say, like there is a sense of control over the environment, even though the environment is kind of trying to kill them all the time. Like there is a sense of control that they have over it that. They are able to. It's a survival game that kind of enables you to like, hey, you can do this. You know what I mean? It gives you the tools.
Did you ever play Anthem? Either of you guys?
That was another one I wanted to ask.
I did not.
Anthem,
because it had a lot of hype, and when it came out, it felt like a flop right off the bat.
We talked about this a little bit on our last episode with like the cyberpunks of the world that probably are good games, but we're stopped short of wanting to dive in because of like rough launches.
They needed another year.
It really did, and they were right there. Anyone who picks up Anthem right now will tell you like the game. It's unlike anything out there. Like every time someone's like, "Well, if you like Titanfall, go play Armored Core." I don't like Japanese style like mech games because like you slide across the map. I don't like the movement style.
Yeah.
Now my forte, I can appreciate the art style, the Konami art style, just not my thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then Anthem. you're Iron Man. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
There's
Fly around this world. And,
four different Iron Man suits,
Yeah.
and no one else has tried anything. So, like, I want to give my money to those companies that push the envelope and try something new.
So did you play it?
I have it.
He's an Anthem player.
Okay.
I love Anthem.
That was on his list.
It was
Was
on my
it
top 10.
like a continued, like, is it much better now than it was at launch?
Yeah, it's still, the load times are arduous. They're
Is that
very
what the
long.
beef was with it?
Yeah, the load
Okay.
times, it was crashing consoles. And I mean, obviously, this is the thing. When a company bench tests a game, especially in modern games, they have a brand new PlayStation or brand new Xbox sitting there. They don't have Fred's Xbox that is covered in 7 years of dust that has a wax candle, burning on top of it, right? Like, they don't have that. They have, like, high quality shit.
Fred takes that Xbox every once in a while and kind of run some stuff through
I'm
it.
telling you, they're just like, everyone's like, they killed my console. Let me see your console. Let me take a look. Let's see when's the last time that thing was cleaned out, right? So when they bench test it, I feel bad for the companies in that way, right? But EA naturally killed the project. But, like, if you play the game and you actually get all the way through it, the story doesn't really pull you in. The story's probably 5 out of 10.
Sure.
But the open world, what you can do and, like, the way you configure your individual javelins is just, there's nothing else in existence like it.
Yeah.
That's true. It is very unique. Have you seen, there's a game coming out called The Day Before, I think it is?
I have looked into the day. I am cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I love the Division, and it looks like a Division third-person
looks
shooter. Awesome. It does look good.
It fits what
I'm into, and maybe neither one of you have heard of this. It comes out December 7th. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
So I've heard reviews on that being fairly, like, surprisingly good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
really like from everything from the biomes, right? Like, that's a big thing in the Avatar movies is the world.
Right.
I've heard great about the movement mechanics, like climbing, jumping, running through the forest.
Yeah.
They said it's actually a lot more fun than flying.
Clunky bullshit.
3, 2, 1.
There we go.
That was also not synced up. But
We're good. That's close enough.
All right, you were saying.
Oh, so Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora comes out December 7th, and that one I'm actually more optimistic about because, and this is the only reason I'm actually looking into it, is because it has a co-op campaign.
Okay.
It does, so it's a 2-player co-op campaign.
That I could get behind. That
would be fun.
I'm too
That
old
would be
for
fun.
PvP, man. I can't keep up with these kids who play 15 hours a day, man. I just can't.
It's that a mix between, like, getting owned by kids who just, like, have nothing.
Yeah.
Like I am their target.
Yeah.
Also, like, a unified goal in a world where I do feel like you get some of that quality of life, like, you can kind of create the character that you want to be.
Yeah.
I had a good time with, and this is not a good example because, unfortunately, the studio that makes it kind of left it on the floor in favor of obviously like a much bigger release that they're working on. But Red Dead Online had really good co-op, a really good online mode. But unfortunately, because GTA 6 is coming out, they straight up were like, we're going to stop updating this pretty much.
I'm curious to see what GTA 6 does. And I mean, their last one was a cash cow for 10 years.
Man.
I will say GTA 5 story was really good.
It was.
It's hard to go back to. I think the graphics, I think even with all the the updates that it's had, like it feels like a 2013 game.
It was a last-gen game,
but
and it looks like it.
It's a great story. There's some some fetch quest type stuff in there, but I think if you can apply what they learned from Red Dead 2 and the greatness of GTA 5 and not make it about, like, okay, we're just in a hurry to get to the online so we can just have another 10 years of cash cow.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a great game.
I hope so. We'll see what they get out of it. Honestly, I started pre-ordering games maliciously now.
Yeah.
That's been my thing. Because,
What's your reasoning behind that? Can I ask?
Because every time I pre-order a game, it flops. So I wanted Starfield.
It's not a good sell, man. I got to tell you.
I wanted Starfield to fail, and Starfield was woefully, like, there was just not a lot to it.
Why did you want it to fail?
Because I love Star Citizen. I love Star Citizen. And Star Citizen really, like, unfortunately, Star Citizen is also a cash grab. By the way, you can buy every single ship in Star Citizen for $11,000. Every single ship.
I will check my account after this episode.
But, like,
see what I got laying around.
I like the menial tasks, and Starfield didn't really let me do any menial tasks. I wanted to mine, I wanted to ship, I wanted to do stuff.
Is that a PC only game?
Starfield or Star Citizen?
Citizen.
Star Citizen is PC only, but like, there's two types of people who play Star Citizen, right? There's Star Citizens like me who follow the laws.
Oh, he is a Star Citizen.
I am a Star Citizen.
The
right?
Star Citizen.
Hold on, I am a Star Citizen, right? We do mining, we do shipping, and money talks in that game, right? Money talks.
Sure.
And then there are Star Felons. Star Felons are just pirates, right? They want to steal your shit, but like money talks, right? Like I'll be mining my own business, not bothering anybody, and a ship will like land next to me, and they're like, give me everything you got. And they know they can. I know that I have no way. So
are these like Rust rules?
Like kind of, yeah. And they'll try and like, oh, we're gonna take everything, and I'm like, all right, well, here's the deal. I'll pay you $10,000 to leave me alone, which is like 30% of my haul, right? $10,000 to leave me alone, or I pay someone in chat $1 million to come and hunt your ass down. Those are your choices. Like you take $10,000 and you go on your merry way, or I pay $1 million and you die. And I've had a couple of them like, you're not going to do that. Okay, cool.
So like I like the stakes. I like the idea of stakes.
I'm confused by this game.
I am a businessman.
I think stakes is cool. My thing with Starfield, like we talked a little bit about Starfield on our last episode. My thing with it, you talked about the menial task of being able to like, basically just farm and do the crafting and have like an outpost as an example.
Yeah, that's what I like.
And they're not great. And then you couple that with the fact that the story, talking about fetch quests, like it's fetch quest the game in space.
That's all it is. And in between you and your objective, there's nothing.
You get there via loading screen.
And even the ship building or ship having aspect is like, I fast travel everywhere. Like I could literally be in the shittiest ship. And that's such a small part of this game that
you can't fly it and like actually land it. It's a loading screen.
And that was
when
even
you're in
like
space.
No Man's Sky, which you're talking about games that didn't have graceful launches, but like being able to cruise the surface of a planet, or walk around on your ship,
land on a specific spot on that planet.
You can't do that in that game.
And Star Citizen, man, like one of my favorite ships, and there's going to be some people who judge me for this. I love a Cutlass Black. There's hundreds of ships in this game, right? Like I like my Hercules C2 for cargo, but I love a Cutlass Black is just an all-around good ship. It looks like a Pelican from Halo.
Okay,
that's what it looks like, and it has these beautiful VTOL engines. And the thing that I love about them is that when you turn them vertical and someone's like on the surface giving you a hard time, hold the space bar. You're going to hit the atmosphere before them. Completely. Like, because you just straight up, those engines are crazy powerful, right? But like, I cruise the surface of a ship and I just keep on hitting tab, scanning the surface of the ship until I find a mining resource, and then I find an area to land. I drive my rock cat, my gray cat, out the back, and I mine with my little laser. I pick up everything that I mine. I drive back on the ship. I close the ship, and I just keep cruising the surface.
So, how are the graphics in this game?
Phenomenal.
Really?
Phenomenal.
No way they're better than Starfield.
Bro.
Have you heard of Starfield?
Nowadays, if you don't have a 30 series GPU or better, you're not going to enjoy the game at all. Like
that makes sense.
It's so much to it, but there's no loading screens. There's none. Like you load in and you like wake up in a hospital bed if you died or something like that, right? But it's also the cool thing, and this is what I love about Star Citizen. I wish other games would do this. It punishes people for griefing. So let's say that space pirate comes at me, right? I can eventually hunt them down myself because I have enough money that I can buy ships that I can, I'm going to go hunt you down in my Aegis Harbinger or something like that, which has like level 5 missiles, which is just lock on, goodbye, you're somebody else's problem now, right? But when they die, if they have what's called a crime stat, they don't wake up in a hospital bed and get to go back to their ship. They wake up in jail. And they have to mine for like hours of real time before they get out of jail.
Yeah, fuck them.
So like
too close to real life.
It like answers the question like, what if you punished griefers? So like most people in Star Citizen, if you just pick up the game and you like get in chat, you hit F12 so chat pops up. You're like, hey, how do I do this? They'll help you out. They're like, hey, can I crew somebody's ship? Because some of these ships you need like a 12-man crew to man all the guns and man all the lasers and man everything. And they're like, yeah, man, I'll meet you at this place. And you quantum travel there. You land your ship, you store your ship, and you walk over to their hangar and you get in their ship and you go with them.
That's kind of neat.
Like it's so in depth. It's a lot of fun. It's just not finished. It needs to be polished. The game needs it's still an alpha.
Spoken like a true Star Citizen.
Yeah, I am a Star Citizen.
He's a citizen.
Maybe.
It's good, man. It's a good game.
Hey, we got a segment here. We're gonna answer some few you guys have written into the show. Ooh. Very cool. We'll do a couple questions here. We've run kind of long, but I think we got a time for a couple write-ins.
Here we go first.
Cody, you got one teed up there?
I do. All right, I did not pre-read this, so
that's fine.
Forgive me.
Coming in cold.
Try it.
I actually said Dash. Here's a question for the segment. Did you ever actually see a fresh LT try to be cool and hang out with the E4s? And they convince him to put a SM or a CSM at the parade rest. I've only heard about it in stories. You know what any of that means.
That makes it funnier,
what the fuck?
believe it or not.
So I've never seen one try and put a CSM at parade rest. You may be able to answer that.
Yep, but you go ahead.
Okay, but I have seen. We had this lieutenant, and she.
Hold on. Can y'all explain?
So lieutenants.
Okay.
LT's a lieutenant.
Okay.
Technically, when they come into the army, a lieutenant outranks an E9, which is command
Could be a
sergeant.
22-year-old kid.
Okay.
Could be brand new kid outranks.
And when he
this-
says technically, he's pushing it.
Okay.
because that sergeant major works with the battalion commander who outranks that lieutenant by
Okay.
a lot.
Big time.
Right. So like it's an army rule, but nobody does that.
Okay.
Like, no
Yeah.
one tries that shit. So I've never seen any lieutenant try and pull that, but we had this lieutenant, and she wanted to be one of the cool people. And we were all smoking and joking, and we were like, yeah, it's no problem. And we all had our vapes at that time.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, just vape. You'll be fine. It doesn't bother you or anything like that. And she took this rip and started coughing and hacking, and like she fell on the floor in the fetal position. Meanwhile, all of us NCOs, we were laughing. Like I almost shit a kidney. I was laughing so damn hard, man. It was, oh God, it was so good. But that was the only time I ever saw a lieutenant trying to act cool, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I want to preface this. I am pretty protective of lieutenants because some of them seem to like bound and determined to just like do something dumb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not, they are the same age as a lot of your privates.
Yeah.
Yep.
But by right of they have a college degree and went to OCS or the academy or whatever, or OTC, they are in charge.
Yeah.
Which is another one of those weird things that we just blow right past on a daily basis, right? Anyway, I've seen a lieutenant try to go toe to toe with command sergeant majors when I was in AIT. Actually,
Really?
yeah. Command Sergeant Major White, yeah. Anyway, not to name drop, but yeah, we had a first lieutenant, probably one of the XOs of one of the AIT battalions, trying to essentially tell him what he was going to do, and it was a laughing stock.
Probably went over like a fart in church.
Yeah, like everyone, obviously we're soldiers. We get ranked by everyone at that point, so we're just kind of like, like the shrivel neck.
It's like Clash of the Titans.
But
Just
the
like,
NCOs, the officers, everyone is just like, "What are you doing, bud?" It was hard to watch, and I have to imagine that it was probably a hard lesson learned for that officer.
Oh, yeah.
It's just one of those things, like, you got to pick your battles in this line of work, man. Like, there are plenty of people that you might outrank. It's like the MPs, right? Like, you're a sergeant first class.
Yep.
As PFC pulls you over,
PFC has that authority.
PFC could throw you in cuffs and have you in jail in a heartbeat if you
go.
Yeah,
Right.
if you want to test him, like it's one of those things, like just knowing when, not even that you're B, just knowing when like you don't have any power in a situation, like
Know when to hold him, know when to fold him,
know when to hold him, know when to fold him. That's
Yeah,
pretty
there you
good.
go.
That's a pretty good one.
know when to walk away, know when to run.
There is a part 2. It just says, well, if not, what's the funniest / dumbest shit you guys saw fresh officers do? Maybe you just kind of did that.
Oh, fresh officers. I mean,
Ooh, we had a lieutenant in Korea, and God rest his soul. He passed away in a car wreck at Fort Bragg.
Oh, dang.
Lieutenant Kelly. And so Lieutenant Kelly,
he's about to clown this dude so hard.
it was honestly, it was when I knew that he was going to be a good LT. Like this was the instance that I was like, this man is going places, right? We did the classic Patriot joke where you take a chem light and you pour it on the side.
Oh,
of
the
radar.
radiation's
Yep,
leaking, baby.
The radiation's
The
leaking.
radiation's leaking. Look
So
out!
It's nighttime and the side of the radar is covered in chem light, so it looks like it's leaking, right?
Oh my God.
And we're like, "Sir, it's leaking radiation. What do we do?" And he stopped. He did one of these. He looked around. Throw some dirt on it. Like immediate first thing was cover up, and we're like, "You're going places."
Wow.
We believe in you.
Wow.
Immediate was like, "We're covering this
My
shit." up."
man.
Like,
My
oh
man.
man, we lost a good one. We lost him. He was a good LT.
Damn.
Okay, he rolled with the punches on that.
Absolutely.
I thought he was going to do that. That's honestly like
That's pretty gangster.
I might have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. That's not too bad. I think I will say probably the most like this was a weird interaction that I had, but it was an instance of a lieutenant kind of being dumb, and maybe I could have handled the situation a little differently. But I was this was when I was in 5.5, a CRAM unit, right? Big fans of the CRAM, right? CRAM go Bert, as it does.
It's the LPWS. You taught me that.
There you go. I was in one of their EOCs, right? Their tents where they do all the engagement, the C2 stuff. And we had these Panasonic PowerBooks, right? These maintenance laptops. They're kind of ruggedized laptops, right? Kind of a hot commodity in the battalion, right? We didn't have a ton of them. A lot of them didn't work. So if you had one, it was kind of a boon, right? You wanted to take care of it. You wanted to treat it well. So I'm over there. I'm helping these guys troubleshoot. And I look over and I see this kid. He's facing against the wall of the tent. And he's standing on one. Both feet standing on one. On a laptop. And so without thinking, instinct kicks in. And I'm like, hey, guy, get the fuck off that laptop. Shoot him out. Like I was like, hey, that's why we don't have nice things. Turns around. It's a lieutenant. It's a first lieutenant. It is that platoon's EOC's platoon leader. And he didn't try to buck up or anything. He was like, whoopsie.
Shrivel neck.
I felt bad because this kid, younger guy, right? Not a kid, but this younger guy just got chewed out in front of his whole platoon by someone who kind of, he outranks, right?
Yeah.
So I found him later, and I did pull him aside. I was like, hey, sir, I shouldn't have corrected you that way. I didn't realize that's who you were. But that's not how we take care of things, right?
Please don't stand on.
Right.
How do you get in that position in the first place? How do you not realize that you're standing on a laptop?
I don't know. Like, it really, I was there fixing their EOC, so that kind of spoke to the culture a little bit. But it was kind of a thing of where sometimes you do dumb things that you don't know you're doing, right?
Sure.
You don't know what you don't know. And it's one of those things, again, like I want to stress, it's good to be protective of lieutenants because as dumb as they might seem, they are young. They are as young as the privates.
You're going to like this, and you may not understand, right? But
follow along.
You'll understand when you're older.
I'm telling you.
Hey.
I teach my students this, right? So I teach non-commissioned officers, senior non-commissioned officers, or soon-to-be senior non-commissioned officers, and I teach them, and sometimes they don't like to hear this, but every overbearing or incompetent or micromanaging senior officer you've ever met, battalion commander above, right, is the result of an incompetent platoon sergeant when they were a platoon leader.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Because they're compensating for that
incapability of that platoon sergeant.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And a lot of them don't like hearing that. They're like, well, I had this battalion commander, like, guarantee you, go back when he was a PL, his platoon sergeant didn't know what he was doing.
I would make the same argument, as a warrant officer, when you meet officers at the field grade level that don't like warrant officers, and they're like, oh, he hates warrant officers. He just doesn't like warrant officers. What probably happened as a warrant officer when that dude was a lieutenant, chewed him out in front of people, probably in his EOC tent,
standing
in
on
front
a
of his
laptop.
soldiers. But legitimately, those are the things like when you risk burning a bridge when you err on the side of I need to throw my weight around.
Yeah.
It really is not a good situation to be in where you use tactful violence, I guess is the word, but you gotta pick your battles, man. You gotta understand, where you're at. Really.
Honestly, you're one of the better ones that I've met. My first warrant that I ever worked with, I got to the point where I had to, kind of a long story short, I threatened to kill him.
Oh.
That was my tactful violence.
Oof.
And after that, this is the thing. At first, he was like so I don't like when my rank is thrown around in a derogatory way. When someone goes sergeant, like
that's not good. Yeah.
Straight under my skin, 0 to homicide. Like that's the way that I work. And at that point, I was like, if I outrank you, get out. And all my soldiers like straight out the door, like get out.
Yeah.
And I explained to him very thoroughly, like, I'm going to rearrange your face at this point in time. Like that's what's about to happen unless you just like leave me alone.
Yeah.
And he continued to buck up, and then he's like, "Well, what if we go talk about the command team?" I was like, "That's fine. You won't make it." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Second you touch that door, I'm gonna rearrange you. I'm gonna hurt you very, very quickly."
Yeah.
And at that moment, he suddenly realized, like, my life is genuinely in danger. Like, this is not a rank thing. Like, he doesn't care at this point. So let's have this conversation.
Yeah.
And then he chilled out. And after that, we were great. I was great working with that dude. Like, he knew, like, I knew what I was doing. He knew what he was doing. He didn't step in my lane. I didn't step in his lane. I'm good with it. If he called me out for doing something wrong, I'm good with it. But, like, you know CW5 Jones? He's retired now?
Yeah.
So CW5 Jones is like the godfather of air defense. This man has forgotten more things than I'll ever know. And right after I'd had that beef with that warrant officer, I went down and I validated 162 SPEAR. SPEAR stands for Standardized Patriot Evaluation and Assessment of Reporting, or Readiness, something like that.
Something like that.
It's a made-up
Close
acronym.
enough.
It's a spear.
And CW5 Jones is standing behind me, and I'm evaluating this crew, and he's watching how my validation is going. He's like, Sergeant Long, you really know what you're talking about. You ever think about going warrant? And I didn't even realize who I was talking to. I was like, Chief, warrants are the enemy. And I was like, oops. I never said that to a CW5.
He wasn't wrong.
And now here I am, years later, going to walks in February.
Headed to walks, baby.
Yeah. Oh,
That'll be fun for you.
I'm excited, but I'm nervous.
Well, welcome to the enemy team.
Yeah. No,
what's your question?
Yeah, let's get through your question. Sorry, I know that was a very long
No. All right.
I see a GIF.
Yeah, there's the GIF here. It's called a GIF, by the way.
It's a GIF. It's a
You're
graphics.
Yeah,
graphic
okay,
something
whatever.
It's
interface.
a graphic interface file.
Like anybody could ever know that.
Yeah. Alpha.
All right, this one I feel like everyone could answer.
Okay.
Look at a little unified perspective here. M4, 249 or 240?
Oh, 240 all day.
240 Bravo.
240, absolutely. I love the pig. She's my girl.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sticking with that.
You got
I don't know that I can answer that.
Well, I mean, you've at least shot an M4.
I'm going to say M4 because that's the one I know. How about that?
Yeah. The devil you know, baby.
There you go.
The saw sucks to carry around.
It does.
249 sucks. It's just really heavy. Useful in a firefight, though it is. Although, when we're talking about mounting something up on the turret, I probably want to go 240. I want to carry that one around less.
So 240 sucks to carry, but like I worked gun team. So when I was in Afghanistan, I carried an M14 EBR with a Leopold Mark IV scope on it.
Okay.
Leopold, depending on who you talk to. So I was part of gun team, and I had a magazine all the way. So I'm a left-handed firer, so it was not all the way in the back. That was my API rounds to destroy my rifle in case we were getting overran. But like the next magazine over, weird times. Anyways, I had one of those solid full of tracers. My job was to mark out targets, right? Shoot in their general direction, take their heads off their shoulders if I had to, and mark targets for that 240 to suppress. I can tell you from firsthand experience, the Taliban reacts differently from regular gunfire as they do that 240. Like a tick pops off, you hear pop, 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 like gunfire saws, and that 240 is just whop, pop,
I
pop,
wonder
pop,
if it's
like,
because it's a taste of their own medicine
It's
because of
just
the
a-
7.62.
it's just a
Do you want
different
to like,
They
I
just
know that sound.
I love the pig, the 240. I love that.
They're pretty burly. I mean, I don't think anything's going to unseat the M60 as far as the most like iconic, like too big to just like shoulder fire.
Oh yeah.
How much one of those things weigh?
A 240.
Put it in
is
poundage
pretty heavy.
weight
Like
for
you
me.
I wanna
could,
say it's like
you
30
couldn't
pounds.
cheek to stock. You couldn't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you would like an M4.
You can Rambo it, like shoulder, buttstock
Yeah.
under your shoulder, and
just
kind of Rambo
hip
it.
fire the
Pretty heavy.
thing.
They go like the built-in bipods. I don't know that do they make like snub nose barrels for those?
I mean, we didn't have one. We
Yeah.
had full-size barrels, so that thing was like 4.5 feet long, maybe 5 feet long, and it
God.
weighed like a little over 30 pounds.
It's a big boy. The pig is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like
without
a name
ammo and
for
everything
that,
in
yeah.
there.
Yeah, and I mean,
Oh my
so
gosh.
every 100 rounds of ammo that thing shoots weighs 20 pounds. 100 rounds weighs 20 pounds.
It's 7.62, so it's like AK rounds.
And
So
you're carrying
like
1,000
pounds at a
rounds.
time.
Yeah.
A 50-pound gun.
Even
yeah.
even like that with like the saw is just 5.56 like the
Right.
M4, but
Yeah.
you have a ton of bullets, man. It's a lot. It's just over encumbered.
LMGs, bro.
I'm telling you, man, that
Yeah.
240, I love it when you like because it's different. Every other gun is 5.56.
Yeah.
But that one, when she starts shooting, except for, I mean, obviously if you're on trucks, the
I
50
really
cal sounds
do
different.
think it has to do with like a report that's similar to their own.
Yeah, and you just hear that whop, wop, wop. It's a
Smoking their
slower
own
rate of
supply
fire.
all of
It's
a
a
sudden.
deeper boom,
Yeah,
slightly.
yeah.
Not as deep as the 50. The 50 is the slowest and deepest of all
Just
the
a
machine
boom.
guns.
Yeah.
But it's a slower, deeper, and plus, gun team is really happy after they've shot because they are now lighter. They're losing weight as they're shooting. Like,
Exactly.
they're
It's like
just-
feeling-
Unload some weight.
Imagine you can feel the calories burn in
like
real
it's
time.
just
yeah.
so good. They're like, oh, this is how you guys feel all
Oh,
the time.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna float away.
I love me a 240.
Hey, we want to thank our guest, Habitual Linecrosser.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
The
Of
man,
course.
dude. This was a lot of fun. Anything you want to plug? Anything coming up? Or
I will be actually. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
good?
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
All right.
no shameless plugs here.
All right.
good. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, as
It's
usual.
all Habitual Linecrosser. Look for this logo, except for on my Facebook. Someone stole my logo and made a fake Facebook recently.
Oh man, that's a sign you've made it.
I guess so. I don't run into many fake one punch dads, and I'm sorry, I don't know who. You are.
That's okay, I'm a nobody.
All mine are being used to scam middle-aged women. So
Oh.
they're just running in different
See,
circles.
I got that benefit. I'm ugly as shit.
Well, you know, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, man. Hey, if you want to write in, if you want to send us in a question, you can send it to the Hardpoint Podcast Instagram, or we've got hardpointpod
Hardpointpod @gmail.com.
I'm pointing where you guys are gonna.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna put the text
right here.
Yeah, it's right there.
Vanna White here.
Yeah.
Hardpointpod @gmail.com. Send us in if you want to write in. You want to ask a question.
You
wanna tell
might
us-
get read.
You might get read. Tell us a story. Ask a question.
A joke.
Those type of things. A joke. It better
joke.
be a good joke though.
It could,
God help me.
Jokes.
offensive and dirty.
Bad joke will make me flip this table.
Okay, well then on that note, do you know why no one liked the pack three? Because it had a bad attitude.
Hey, thank you very much. I've been One Punch Dad.
I'm Cody Romes.
We'll see you on the Flippy. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Our guest.
And I'm HLC.
And he's HLC.
I'm sorry.
And we'll see you on the Flippy. Bye.
I wasn't sure.
Peace.
We're going to work out our outro.
Honestly, no matter what you guys do for each other, outro, just stick with it.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll do that. We'll guess out. Yeah.